infrastructure, traffic, parking, economic development, and community character. Therefore, we hold that changes required by town government, especially with regard to density, could encourage the owners to develop an alternative that better balances the residential, commercial, and community needs, which would better serve the common good, which is our purpose. Our website is Concerned Citizens of Abacoa. Thank you for your attention and consideration. Respectfully.
That was it.
That's it? Okay. Council, we have before us the minutes of the January 7th, 2025 meeting, and there's some minor corrections on the dais. If there's no additional corrections, I'll take a motion and a second to approve as amended.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. This is items number 2 through 13. Do we have any member of the public that wish to pull a consent agenda item?
Yes. Item 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5. Okay. Mr. Kitsero, any other items you wanted to pull?
No, Mayor.
Anybody else on the dais wish to pull an item?
No.
Okay, I'll take a motion and a second on the amended consent agenda. That's items 2 and 6 through 13.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We had one item, ordinance 3124, which is quasi-judicial. Does any member of the council have any quasi-judicial disclosures?
No.
None.
Seeing none, I'd ask the town attorney to read ordinance 3124 on short title.
Ordinance number 31-24, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Jupiter, Florida, approving an amendment to the Ritz-Carlton Plan Unit Development, providing for a waiver to the unit type in the R1 single-family residential zoning district to allow a guest cottage as an accessory use to the primary single-family dwelling unit on Lot 30 of Pod B, and providing for an effective date.
I just want to comment on 2 items on the consent. One, Resolution 2725. Just want to express on behalf of the town and the town council appreciation for the chamber working with the town to co-host and sponsor that Jupiter Music Festival. I also want to thank our Vice Mayor for having kind of been the, in last year's strategic initiative, it was probably a spinoff from trying to get Mardi Gras. So thank you, Vice Mayor. And I just want to also thank the Jupiter Police Foundation. You know, it's just incredible. I know we talked about this in another meeting, but you know, we're approving tonight the purchase of a tactical rescue vehicle worth just under $600,000, and it's paid for by this Jupiter Police Foundation. So we're very grateful to them for that. With that, I'll have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to the items pulled. Item number 3, Resolution 325.
Craig Mowry.
Good evening. Craig Mowry, 230 Blanc Isles Lane here in Jupiter. There's been a recent telephone survey conducted. I'm not sure exactly who by, but the main question is, what's the most important thing to residents of Jupiter? And what I heard was that the general answer was traffic. So I'm pleased to see this particular item on the agenda. I do know that the recent mess at the new intersection between I-95 and Indiantown Road caused some residents to try and petition the town to stop the project. I thought that was a little overkill, inappropriate. But a sentence in the executive summary for this particular item caught my eye, and I wanted to bring that a little bit more to light. This is the agenda items to conduct a public outreach, et cetera, for the Center Street corridor east of Loxahatchee River Road. In the next sentence, the corridor is under the jurisdiction of Palm Beach County for roadway design, operations, maintenance, et cetera. And it's caused me to wonder what other town roads are not within our jurisdiction, or how much control we do have over the roads in the town. It's not very easy to determine that. That said, I'm in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Any comments from the dais?
I'll say just quickly that the town is a patchwork quilt of state roads, county roads, town roads, and a lot of that is mentioned in the transportation element of our comp plan. And there is some mapping related to that, as well as level of service. So, for example, Indiantown Road near 95 is rated F. It's actually a failing road because of traffic, and we know that. While it is a state road and those parts are state roads, I've always made it a point to say that we can be advocates for our residents, which is why we invited FDOT to our council to give a presentation so residents could hear directly from the source. With the county, we are working with them because it is such an important part of our town, Center Street. It's historic Main Street. And so we do want to make sure that its character represents that historic Main Street character. And so to the extent that we can partner with the county or work with the Regional Planning Council, we want to do everything we can to make sure that we can create that character in our town and protect it. So that's the quickest answer, but I can speak further to that another time. Thank you.
I'd like to add something, Mayor. The town has, over the years, produced a lot of maps, different zoning and all sorts of different color-coded. Does the town have, or could they create a map that just signifies the jurisdictions of the roads in the town? Do they have that, or?
I think it's in the transportation element of the comprehensive
It is.
plan.
It's listed in
Yep.
there. Yep.
Maybe they should put it on the town website so it's more accessible, because very few people probably dive into the comp plan. So,
I'll be sure to post it. I'll pull the plan and
right.
post
Seeing where
it.
traffic is the most important issue, they can see something quickly. So if they get angry, we're going to deal with the Tony Penna Central Light tonight and all that. We're going to talk about that, and something more accessible to people when they have the angst about something, they can find out who's actually in charge of the road. So
We are at times limited, but we can always be advocates.
Just a little more history on that road. 2+ decades ago, maybe 2.5, the county embarked upon, we had a stronger comprehensive plan and growth management. I mean, the town still has it, but I'm saying county and whatever. And Center Street was the first what they call Crawls designated roadway, because both the county and Jupiter decided to constrain it as a 2-lane roadway and allow it to be over capacity, but because didn't want it to become, a 4-lane road that would significantly change the character. So it's been a Crawls designated roadway. And one thing I'd like to make clear, I support the item before us, but the plan is to go and get public input on other amenities along with moving it to a 3-lane road. So that was a policy decision to go from 2 lanes to 3 lanes, which simply is for real safety, and there's data in here for that from the first section that was done, and because it allows a turning vehicle to get out of the through lane, and so that middle lane is purely for safety. So I wouldn't want someone to think, because that was the policy decision of the council and the county to go forth with the 3-lane roadway. And what the county does is they just do a 3-lane roadway, and then any extras that we want on, pedestrian and other features, crossing features, the town would have to pay for, despite the fact that it's a county road, and that's just the way it works, and we're prepared to do that. So this really, is approving an interlocal agreement where Treasure Coast will help us to make sure we have all public input on what to include in as the added amenities and keeping the character of that roadway, but yet, significantly improving its safety. So with that, I'll take a motion and a second on approving Resolution 325.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to Resolution 425. Also pulled, I asked staff, I guess, to do a update.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. John Sickler with the Department of Planning and Zoning. I just wanted to take a minute to pause on this item because, as mentioned in the executive summary, the project for the Acre House deck, ramp, and sidewalk that's been pending for a number of years. It kind of got stalled at the time of COVID, is now moving forward again. And at that time, the Loxahatchee Guild was gracious enough to pledge $20,000 towards that project. And there's members of the Guild here tonight that I'd like to acknowledge. They've been a wonderful partner of the town with preserving and restoring the train depot on the Sawfish Bay property, and now with Acre House next door. They continue to work in these efforts towards history. And I'd also like to acknowledge Stephanie Thoburn, who's worked tirelessly to really shine a light on the history of the town for many years. And now it's very timely with the 100-year centennial, that we finally get this project moving. So with that, I'd like to invite up Mary Therese Dellett to speak to you for a minute, if she would. She's the president of the Loxahatchee Guild.
It's been a while. Mary Therese Dellett, West Palm Beach, but president of the Loxahatchee Guild. And it's been a while since I've been up here. I was up here frequently when we were involved with the train depot, and with great success. It was a great partnership. I see some of the people here, Roger Held, and of course Stephanie and John, that I worked with, and Mayor Koretsky also. So we're just thrilled to be here and finally be able to present to you $50,000 from our hard-earned little galas that we have for the preservation of history. And we feel that the Acre House in Sawfish Bay Park is appropriate for visitation for not only the residents of Jupiter, but anyone that comes to visit Sawfish Bay Park. And so we want this to go towards the boardwalk and the ramp, which will allow access without impacting the house, which was built in 1913. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it is over 100 years old. So I'd like to make this presentation, if I may. Mayor Koretsky, if I have your permission. These are members from the Guild, and Mary Grace Richardson was a previous president when we initially approved the $20,000. Judy Campbell is, and I'm naming those who are residents right now of Jupiter. Judy Campbell was the original member of the Loxahatchee Guild back in 1918. No, not that far, Judy. 1981, excuse me. Ethel Gravitt, I think everybody knows Ethel. She has been also a member of the Guild for many, many years and is a known historian in this area. We also have Donna Hilly, who's on the Centennial Committee. No, are you on the Centennial Committee? No, not yet. Okay, she's on our board, and she is a resident of Jupiter. And then Teresa Halstead, who's a member also, she's a resident of Jupiter. And who else? Ann Lindahl, who's I guess, a lot of people know Ann and her husband, Len. So without further ado, this is a check and we have money in the bank to back it up, but I don't know if I need to come up there or, oh, you need us around? Okay, I thought maybe the mayor would be
Who are we presenting it to?
I think we're going to present it to the mayor. Bring it up here. Why don't you go? Oh, no, he's going to come here.
Who's going to come in?
Maybe we'll follow in behind you, okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm always.
Some of them need to be rushed.
Picture.
You come back. But then,
If you get not tell Mr. Bass, or you can give it to him.
I would dare deprive Tom.
And could we get a picture of you presenting
Be
it?
sure to ask her how it was. Like, oh, there's some. Yeah, he's like, take my spots. You take all the good stuff.
Just a little bit more. Scoot in, perfect. 1, 2, 3. Now we'll get that. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
see you. Good. We're all settled in our place.
Thank you very much. Again, we're most grateful to the support that we've received for various projects over the years, so thank you very much. And with that, I'll take a motion and a second on Resolution 425.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Before we go to, or as we go to Agenda Item 5, Resolution 625, I will be abstaining from this item. My wife's niece works for the contractor, and from Palm Beach County and state ethics ordinances, I'm not able to have any involvement with this work. And with that, I'm going to turn over to the Vice Mayor.
All right. May I ask who brought forward the item?
Craig Mowry.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. Still Craig Mowry, still 230 Block Isles Lane. I'm pleased to see more progress. I think you all know that I'm a supporter of the Jupiter Fire Rescue Department. I also know that so far the county has, at least to what's been best of my knowledge, refused to consider the town's using Station 18 in any form. Wouldn't sell it, wouldn't lease it, wouldn't co-operate it, or any other kind of transition. So I'm wondering at this point, now that we're about to vote on approving the retaining wall, et cetera, for Pyatt Place, is this the point at which we no longer consider in a negotiation with the county on Station 18? It's just a question. I'm definitely in favor of the resolution.
Any questions or comments?
Well, I know we've tried to negotiate, but they're not willing to at this point, so we're just moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I can, I guess, help provide just a little bit of context. I mean, the thing with Station 18 is they have indicated they have other areas of unincorporated Palm Beach County that they still want to provide service to. They run their jet ski program out of that station, and when Jupiter Fire Rescue goes into effect, that station could be utilized to provide immediate backup to the surrounding zones, such as Station 15 in Juno Beach, Station 19 out on the west side. So
Right.
that's, from my knowledge, that's
Yeah.
why the station will be
And
remaining open. So
That's all fine. I'm sure I know we've offered to, take over the unincorporated pockets, but and I understand the Marine units running out of that, but if that's their position, it's fine. But at this point, we're just moving on and continuing with the process of our station out there. So,
Yeah, I think we have a very tight deadline. I mean, it
Yeah.
is opening next year
Right.
now, so it is getting very close. And I do support the item. If I could ask for a motion.
motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
Unanimously with the mayor abstaining. For the record, I couldn't be involved with regard to awarding the contract, but the other discussion I probably could have, but okay. Moving on to agenda item 14, the annual presentation of traffic data mitigation strategies and projects. I'll turn it over to staff.
All right, good evening. For the record, Thomas Hernandez, Director of Engineering and Public Works. So tonight we'll be giving you the annual traffic update, and a lot of these things will be hitting high level. I'm sure you'll have questions along the way, so if you do, please feel free to ask those questions. All right, so tonight, the reason we're providing this presentation is to satisfy a strategic initiative, which is listed there on the screen. Staff will be covering the traffic data as well as trends, as well as the town mitigation strategies and partner agency mitigation strategies, as well as the traffic crash and enforcement data.
By the way, just to add, this is a strategic initiative, has been for a number of years. It's listed as a recurring one. It's both the town and its town council realize that traffic is so important to the public and both to safety and the time it takes them to get anywhere, that we have this annual update so we can always stay engaged with how things are going. And so here we are again. Thank you.
And with that, I'll turn it over to CJ Land, our traffic engineer for the town.
As shown here, you can see historically the traffic on Indian Town Road are highly correlated with the economic growth. For example, look at the downturn on 2011. That's due to the Great Recession occurred in the 2008 and 2009, and the ripple effect leads to that downturn. And after that, traffic level exponentially increases and plateauing out until you reach the COVID-19 and take another dive. And 2021 was the historical low record traffic level, but soon after that, in 2022, it's bounced back again, and in 2023 and 4, it plumbs again. Why? The actual reasons remain to be seen. However, due to the many years of exposure of the traffic flow theory, I think it might be on Indian Town Road, it might reach a so-called congestion state, because the low level of traffic can correspond to different state. One is on the left side of the capacity, which is lighter state, and on the right side of capacity would be the congested state. And we have the problem, so-called the traffic volume cannot be, the actual traffic demand cannot be measured directly. And and therefore that the traffic measure from the specific station was showing the lower than number than the capacity. Of course, this is my suspicion now, based on my professional opinion, and I hope the current state will not be on the right side of the capacity, which is a congestion side, but the actual effect remains to be seen.
Can you
Yes.
just to talk about traffic count? So, isn't it the case that they moved from yearly to every other year to do counts, or what is the story on the counts? How often they count?
Okay. Right now, the county is on a by yearly count.
Every other year.
Every other years. However, during those years, all the state road they have already handed over to the state, and the state has either the permanent station or the portable station to account for the missing data point from the county. And those 2024, some of the data count was able to capture from the county's database, but a lot of the data is actually interpreted from the state's annual the AADD count to the so-called high season weekly count. So it's the inferred data point, but it was close enough based on the historical data point.
Is it, I know how it used to be, so maybe it's changed, but is the count, it's just taken some time during peak season, correct? It's not the same day or days every year.
The FDOT count was taken the entire year long.
Okay.
The year long, and then they call the average daily traffic, annual average daily traffic, and the peak season count can be inferred statistically based on the so-called the peak season factors. So it's not a direct measure number like used to be accounted by the county, but it's based on my experience, it's close enough.
Okay. And I ask that because this is counterintuitive. Any member of the public that drives along that roadway, that traffic has gone down. So
right.
I know the way it used to be, then, they could pick it on an off, not as busy day versus, but you say they do it annually, and then somehow from that they get a statistical peak. So once again, I guess to some degree it's a changed method of counting, correct?
Right.
So that could be, it may be misleading because of a changed method of counting to come to the conclusion it's gone down, but suffice to say it's a problem and.
Could be, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This chart showing the rest of the signalized arterial. They all shows more steadier growth trending, and they are able to maintain level service deal better. Several failing roadway within the town collected from those 6 arterials. 5 of them are either failing or has already failed down to a level service F, and they are the Center Street from Lasahachi Drive River to L1A, and we touched on that briefly. The 3-lane road section will be constructed with the pedestrian feature injected, and hopefully that can be significant enough to address the capacity deficiency issue. Second section was from north of Central Boulevard to from Indiantown to Church Street. Again, the CIP project has been funded by the county to address that. Indiantown Road has historical 3 critical sections from Turnpike to the Central Boulevard. But now, although it doesn't show on the volume data count, but the new bottleneck has been forming just west of Center Street, and due to the pretty unique geometry, basically show storage segment between the Center Street and the Maplewood, and that has been concentrated by the county and then right now by the state, and right now has been designated as an illustrative concept project. And as long as we have a funding, state has a funding, will be funded to address the capacity deficiency issue. Two location we have a continuous watch for annually. The center street between Indian Town Road and the Lasahachi Riverside, the Lasahachi River Road. In 2017, county constructed the 3 lane sections, and it has since then it has been showing significant decline in the overall cross rate as up to 50%. Another example would be in the Peanut Roundabout at University Boulevard and Central Boulevard. And now is the 3rd years from the completion of the construction in 2021. And it shows close to 60% or more reductions in either crush frequency, crush rate, as well as the crush cost. Thank you.
Good.
Traffic flow. You're showing a
Yes.
reduction. Is that per traffic count or is that overall?
On the Center Street and University?
Yes.
Yes, it has been, the cross rate was calculated based on the number of the crashes divided by the total entering vehicle from University Boulevard and also the Central Boulevard. And it was the all the traffic count, yearly traffic count was considered in those number of years.
That's a fantastic reduction in crashes. That's great news.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, I just want to emphasize on that one, because I remember going back quite a few years, our police spent a lot of time in this area trying to manage traffic, and it took a number of years to get a consensus with the county on doing what was the upgrade that was done. So it really is rewarding to see, the reduction not just in the amount of accidents, but in the, severity of the accidents. So great work by staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next I'll be covering, excuse me, did not mean to do that. All right, so the next I'll be covering the mitigation strategies which are being implemented by the town. There's going to be very high level comments about it. I won't really go into depth unless you guys have anything else that you'd like me to comment on. All right, so the first project here, the Jupiter Beach Road A1A roundabout, that was completed in 2024. That just highlight that was a strategic initiative project. The 2 projects after that, those are projects that intersect with town roads as well as county roads, as Mr. Mowry was curious about earlier today. And I'll go a little more in depth as we get a little further along. All right, so the next group of projects, which are listed there on the screen, the last 2 projects, which are actually listed on this slide, are also strategic initiative projects. Top project is just one of the projects that we've done to improve the intersection at Tony Penna as well as Bush Road. And then this slide is really to highlight that at the staff level, we work with residents and we receive their feedback on really just ongoing traffic issues that they run into throughout the town. So we have an ongoing CIP that encompasses various small projects, such as safety improvements, reducing vehicular speed. A lot of times it's traffic calming. So what ends up happening is throughout the year we get residents' requests, and a lot of times we have to collect, or it comes to the point that we have to work with the residents to collect signatures within their neighborhood, and they ask us to do traffic calming or review traffic calming. So throughout the year we have conducted a number of studies. CJ does those and works with the residents most of the time. So basically, these statistics are basically just to show you the regular ongoing efforts that we have, that while they don't necessarily come to the town council level, we as staff level, we still entertain and review projects at a little bit of a lower project level. And I'll briefly comment on it while we're on here, because Mr. Mowry had mentioned it earlier. The town does have a patchwork of different roadways, which are whether they're owned by the town, let's say an HOA board or a various neighborhood private organization, as well as the state and county. So we, as the town, we do have a road ownership map, which happens to fall on our engineering page. We keep it on there just for that purpose if someone is interested in knowing who owns a various roadway. So it's not as easy as saying, well, this road falls within the town. It is something that I'm calling, or I need you to do something about. Town of Jupiter staff. That's not always the case. We often do work with those various partner organizations. However, they may not fall within our jurisdiction. But if anybody is ever interested in who owns the various roads within the town, we have that mapped out in a PDF format, which residents can pull up. It's also, if anyone's interested, on the county website, they have a GIS that also shows that, but it's one of the sub-layers to their overall GIS.
You done with that page?
Yes, sir.
What, page 13?
All right. So moving on to current and proposed traffic strategies for Indiantown Road, I will highlight that the first two main bullets here are strategic initiatives, and the first bullet is currently under construction, and the second bullet is currently under design for the southern extension of Island Way. And that's supposed to finish in the utility coordination in roughly February of this year. Yes.
So just a couple questions, comments in this one. First of all, for my colleagues and also for the public, the Indiantown Road, where you talk about partially funded by the town and FDOT. So that road is entirely owned by FDOT, and the town could have waited until FDOT has the money to do it entirely. Just want to make sure the public knows is we have, in fact, stepped up and co-funded some, and then by doing so, of course, it costs our residents, but it also happens sooner, and I say sooner, years sooner. So I just want to make sure the public understands that. Other municipalities just wait and don't step up, and then it can take 5, 10 more years till it happens. So that is a fiscal decision. I'm just curious, the language that on Southern Extension, you have this under partner agencies. Is there a partner agency for Allen Way?
So not necessarily partner agencies, is just partially funded. So we
okay. No, and I say that not to criticize, but it's kind of like funny here, is because that road, for the public to know, I'd gotten Commissioner Marcus to designate it as a county road, and then when she was term limited, then the county, kicked it back. So we look around, and we're proceeding on a project that there are no partners. So we're doing that. Actually, that's a project to benefit traffic on Indiantown Road. But correct. I just wanted to point that out. But it is, you had this behind mitigation strategies implemented by partner agencies. So, because I keep looking around, anybody else want to put money in here? And no one steps up. So we just want to make sure the public knows that we're stepping up, because we can't live with the traffic the way it is. Thank you.
All right, so for the next slide, it continues on with traffic mitigation strategies from partner agencies, really, and really mostly deals with Indiantown Road, most of these projects. So with really all three of these projects, they are strategic initiatives for the town. So just to highlight for the second project on this page, the design kickoff for that project actually took place last week. So that'll be taking place throughout the course of this calendar year, and look to start construction in roughly 2026 mid-year. Well, excuse me, probably towards the end of the year, potentially early 2027. 27, depending on how fast the FDOT can get the project out to bid and out to construction.
When on this, we're going to get to these on a strategic plan, but to the degree you have it on your deck here, presentation deck, the first project is not just from Central to Chasewood. That's the eastbound upgrade. There's also an improvement westbound, correct?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it should have been when I mentioned the second project, it should have been the first project that I mentioned. But yes, that project is funded through the state and as well as through the town. So
no, what I meant was the title on the first project. You have Indiantown Road from Central to Chasewood Plaza. That is the eastbound improvement. There's a westbound improvement from the mobile gas station to the.
Just so we're consistent, I'm calling it from Central Boulevard to Chasewood. So yes, there is an eastbound portion of that, but there is a very small westbound portion of that to go to one traffic signal further to the west as well at Jupiter West Plaza.
Yeah,
so.
But we're going to get to that in the strategic plan for clarity so everybody understands what improvements are happening. I just want to bring it up here. And then we're going to get to it in a strategic plan, but the last bullet, I'm proposing not to encourage to fund a study, but to fund, I've been encouraging, because FDOT justified it, for them to fund the project. So I'm not going to debate it here, but we're going to talk about that in a strategic plan, but we're looking for more than a study. Improve the road.
All right, so the next projects are Palm Beach County projects, which fall on the 5-year plan for the county. We've already really talked about tonight the Center Street improvements from Loxahatchee River Road to alternate A1A, as well as the Central Boulevard northbound through lane has also been listed previously on the presentation. As well as there's one at the bottom, which is also another county project, which is very close to being completed. All right, and with that, I will turn it over to the police chief.
Good evening, Council. Chief Michael Barbera, speak about the traffic crash enforcement data. Total traffic crashes declined 5% from 23 to 24, which equals minus 96 crashes, which is great news. From 23 to 24, we've had a decrease in DUI arrests, 13%, and DUI-related crashes increased 11% in that same time frame. Indiantown Road was a contributor to 47.2% of the crashes of major roadways. The main intersection, Indiantown Road and alternate A1A, contributed to 120 crashes, which was significant. The state and county efforts to improve Indiantown Road intersections include backplate lights on the lights, protected left turns, and crosswalk improvements. Central Boulevard South segment intersect crashes. So the south segment of Central Boulevard is Indian Creek Parkway to the roundabout where Scripps is. There's a 23% decrease in crashes along that segment. There's a priority for our Jupiter Police Department traffic unit through education and enforcement. Bicycle and pedestrian crashes, 67.8% of the injuries were non-incapacitating or what we call possible injuries. They could either be or not when we arrive. And then, as you know, in April of 2024, we started an e-bike safety campaign. During that time frame, from April till end of 24, we've documented 7 e-bike crashes. But I will tell you, since we started our campaign, there's a significant decrease on complaints of e-bikes around and correlating problems.
Can I want to just comment on that? Shout out to our police because you're extremely proactive in pursuing the e-bike safety campaign. Many municipalities were just kicking it off, in November, December time period, I noticed. So thank you for doing that.
Sure.
In the aftermath of, the holiday season gifting, there's probably another wave of kids now have the e-bikes. So I'm sure you go back out because I'm seeing a little bit of a rise in complaints again, due to that.
That's exactly right. That's usually what happens during the Christmas time, but that's why we're trying a real emphasis on education. So a lot of parents don't realize what's legal and illegal. They just buy the product for their kids.
Yep.
And so we're trying to go out to the schools. We're reaching out through the schools. Also going to Abacoa Town Center when we make contact with the parents. And through that education, we are seeing a decrease, but you're right, during the holidays it increased again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no doubt that that effort has probably saved a life.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to the roundtable on the proposed strategic plan.
Good evening. Nikki Carpenito with Senior Director, Strategic Initiatives. So tonight we are going to go through our strategic plan process, review our current strategic initiatives, and then go through our proposed strategic initiatives. So I'll start with just briefly going through what our process looks like currently, and then we'll get into all the details of where we currently are for our 2024 strategic initiatives into 2025. Just to provide a brief overview of our current strategic planning process, we start with our individual town council meetings, which we completed earlier this month. It gives you the opportunity to go through the current plan and then discuss each modification or add new initiatives. Then we go through to our roundtable, which is happening tonight, and it allows for you all to collectively discuss the modifications, add anything that you thought of after our meetings. If needed, we would then have a prioritization or a second workshop. Currently, at this time, we don't see a need for a prioritization necessarily. However, if that's something the council wishes after we've completed tonight's roundtable, then we can absolutely put that on the agenda the next meeting or whenever.
By the way, so in years past, we've chosen to do prioritization when our staff, through our town managers, told us there's more on the plate that they can do, correct? So what we're hearing is staff is okay to take it on, provided we don't add a bunch tonight. But I just want to put in perspective to my colleagues, that's the purpose why we have, in fact, prioritized some years.
Yes. Then if a second workshop is not needed, we will then move on to the finalization, which would be me bringing back to you all a plan to adopt. And I have that tentatively scheduled for the next meeting. February 4th. Once we have an adopted plan, we'll move to integrate that plan into our annual budget planning process, and then we'll continue providing our quarterly updates through the year. Are there any questions or comments on our current process? Great. So in the past, Council has expressed the importance of reviewing the town's strategic results, vision, mission. So the following slides are going to go through that, all of our vision, mission, and results. However, I only received one comment modification on two of the strategic results definition, strong local economy and safety. So if it would be okay, I'd like to kind of flip through these slides and just go straight to the ones with the modifications. You guys, is everyone okay with that?
Sounds good.
Great. So we're going to move on to slide 10. Strong local economy. The third bullet from the bottom has a minor change to remove the word be and add as required to remain successful for the Abacoa Town Center. Wanted to just bring that to everyone's attention that if everyone is okay with it, then it will show up in the adopted plan, not struck through or redlined.
Just wanted to comment on that one to my colleagues. So it's good to go through these. When they were originally developed, it took several council meetings to come up with them. And this is how we define success in these different areas. So it actually is good to go through them as a kind of okay, how are we doing? And it could prompt another strategic initiative. So the subtlety on this language change there's been initiatives in the town center that we were involved with in a strategic plan year. And to the degree you don't have any, that's really what prompted the language change, right? I mean, it is successful, but as we see it struggling, then we step in a particular year. But it remains, a measure of this is what we call a strong local economy. I just want to give that as an example. Thank you.
There were no modifications to the next two strategic results definitions, so I'm going to move on to slide 14, safety. And the first change was we added a new bullet is being proposed to reflect our Jupiter Fire Rescue Department, similar to that of which we have for the police department. So it's that third bullet there. Jupiter Fire Rescue Department leverages community partnerships, advanced technology, and proactive safety strategies to enhance emergency preparedness, deliver rapid response services, and promote fire prevention awareness throughout the community. Additionally, it was proposed to add on the fourth bullet to just add Fire Rescue Department. Are there any comments, additional modifications? Great. So there were no modifications to the last two strategic results. So we're going to move forward to review our current plan. So, new this year, we decided to implement an icon system for our different initiatives and action items just to help identify the overall status, to create just another level of transparency for our residents and for the plan. So there's 4 on this slide, complete, red check mark, in progress. So action items that have this icon are just identified as the staff is currently working on this and will continue to provide updates. We have the reoccurring strategic initiatives. These are items that potentially happen annually, and then staff will bring back to town council just an update whenever is requested or when it's put on the plan. And then the last one requires town council advocacy or outside agency action. So it's not necessarily something that's totally in our control, and we just are looking for town council to help push that item through, or it requires a third-party agency. Currently in the marked up document, the timeline, you'll see the complete icons on those strategic initiative or action items that were completed in 2024. In the proposed new timeline, that completed icon will not be on that document because they're new action items. Any questions? Great. So last year, 2024, Town Council adopted a strategic plan with 23 initiatives and 49 action items over a 3-year timeline. The 3-year timeline allowed Town Council to adopt strategic initiatives that were longer-term goals or initiatives. So this slide just shows what was completed, what we currently have outstanding that will roll over into the 2025-2027 timeline that we'll discuss in the next few slides. In 2024, we completed 3 strategic initiatives on time and 3 were ahead of schedule. 11 action items were completed on time and 6 were completed ahead of schedule. We have 3 currently that are still tracking to be completed early this year, February. So those will potentially come off the new proposed plan because they will be completed. For the 2025-2027 strategic plan, the 3-year timeline, it's proposed to have 23 total strategic initiatives with 43 action items. Of the 43, we have 29 that are carrying over from the 2024 plan. And there are 14 action items that are being proposed as new, and they're indicated with the star. Doesn't necessarily mean they're new initiatives. It means that there was potentially modifications due to the work that's been completed to then add a new action item to push that initiative forward. And all of those changes are in red. In front of you on the dais, as well as the backup for the agenda item, we had 2 attachments. The first attachment it's labeled attachment number 2. It's the marked up version of the proposed 2025-2027 strategic initiatives and timeline. That's what we're going to go through tonight. The other attachment number 3, is the clean version. This was just strictly for you to see what the plan would look like with no markup so that you could visually see how it would turn out. So I'm going to go through that. I'm going to pull that up right now, the timeline, and we'll go through. And you can stop me whenever you have questions, but I'm going to go through each one. And we're going to just start from the top. So the first thing that I want to call out, it was proposed to organize the strategic initiatives and action items by strategic result. So if you look on your clean version, that's how it's currently laid out, with safety, mobility, and then each of the action items or strategic initiatives would be categorized for just easier to read, easier to understand. That's also how the plan document will be laid out. So the timeline would then just be consistent with that document. The first strategic initiative, fire rescue strategy, it was proposed also to change that strategic result from fiscal responsibility to safety. And then the new initiatives are added there, indicated with the green star, receive our COPCN certification, and complete construction of the 2 station locations, and begin providing fire rescue services. So those new action items were just the next steps for the overall fire rescue strategy. Do I see any questions, comments? Great. The next initiative, vehicle and pedestrian traffic management and mitigation. There are minor changes here. We have, in the first one, we removed the word in January and left it to be a little bit more broad, end of the first quarter of each year that we would present our traffic mitigation presentation that we saw tonight. And then we also added on the second bullet and participate in Palm Beach County's transportation master planning effort. That was added to just add some more detail on that item. And then the third item, because this is a West Indian Town Road initiative action item, it's being proposed to move that into that category. And then the crosswalks item, it's proposed to have a phase 2 to evaluate any additional locations and then complete construction of the Longshore Drive and Central Boulevard crosswalks. Yes.
Just on this one, a couple things. Number one, on the one on encouraging FDOT, the one in green, or on here it's blue. That language wasn't carried forth in its entirety. This is the language that should be carried forth. Because that was the comment I had on the previous agenda item where they were just pursuing funding for the study.
Correct.
But I think when it moved forward, it got, reduced. So this is the language that we want to be moved forward, as you're saying on this sheet. And then, while I agree on the second item to incorporate and participate with Palm Beach County's transportation master planning effort, it's a natural to put them together. You could also argue they're 2 distinct different items. I use, there's an effort made, for example, to get project funding for the next segment of Indian Town Road, which staff and our vice mayor were involved with. That was that item. So every year we tried to fulfill that, and for those that don't know, the county transportation master planning effort is something that's been kicked off as all entities realize there's going to be a funding shortfall. So this, I'm just saying this in case my colleagues or the public don't know what that is. So the county has kicked off in collaboration with all the municipalities this Palm Beach County Transportation Master Planning effort. And the plan is that each municipality and government will be able to put forth the items they want, and then it'll go into a bucket, if you will, and they'll try to get resources to kind of get something for everybody. So big effort, probably year and a half effort, but I just want to make sure everybody knew what that was. Thank you.
I would be open to having them as two separate items. It is, they are a little different reading it. I had proposed the Palm Beach County Transportation Master Planning effort to be added, and so again, I would agree that it could be separate. It is a very different beast, and it's more than just a project list by a municipality. If we think about the traffic in our county, Palm Beach Gardens is growing a lot. If you look at their approvals that haven't even been constructed yet, there's a lot of growth there. And even with Alton, Alton impacts Donald Ross, which is a road that we have, and it impacts traffic patterns as Google Maps routes me a different way to 95 now that's faster than the way I had before. So that's development in another town impacting traffic patterns and traffic impacts in our town. So it's going to take more than just a list, with each of us in our own spheres. We're going to have to really work collaboratively to understand those impacts, how they're changing, each of our municipalities, and come together for something that is greater than the sum of its parts. So it's really going to be an interesting effort. That said, aside from that, we will be having our list and prioritizing it. The Chamber has been working with municipalities to get a head start on that project, and the town did participate in that. But it's going to, in addition to that effort, which is going to be a different beast, we can continue to look for budget commitments from other agencies. I know our mayor's been working with the TPA for a very long time to prioritize Jupiter projects. We did, get some money from the state for West Indian Town Road. Island Way continues to be an open discussion. So those are just examples of that.
So I think we have probably a consensus to split them. And thank you for that. I think that is appropriate. And just to go back to where I may have sounded, to have and so the Vice Mayor is correct. Trying to keep it short, but, there's different opinions between municipalities on what needs to be done. I wouldn't be surprised if Palm Beach Gardens doesn't think they need to worry about Donald Ross Road, and yet we're being impacted. So we may come up with a list, but we're going to find that the impacts could be from another municipality that doesn't want to do anything about it. I think that's a fact. But collectively, a totality of a list will come up, and then it'll have to be prioritized. Mm-hmm. And there are going to be differences of opinion, because when it comes to funding, some people are not going to want to fund, and that's the way it is right now in the county. Some people don't want to fund road projects. Mm-hmm. We want to fund road projects, but some others don't. So this is going to be. I think it's being kicked off as a good collaborative effort. Mm-hmm. The heavy lifting comes when the list starts being put together and it's being prioritized and vetted on which ones get funded.
I think it makes a great deal of sense to split it into two separate items.
Yeah, it does.
The heavy lifting will be coming when we ask for money for these projects.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that's totally beyond staff's. That's clearly a, higher level. Staff's not going to be able to influence that. We're going to have a hard time on council to influence it. We're going to influence it. Mm-hmm. How much success we have is the other thing.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and add that one in. Moving on to the Recreation Facility Master Plan strategic initiative. There are a few minor changes. The second action item has been modified to use the master planning document as a guiding document. We combined the second to last item regarding the town's aging parks. We've combined those two items together just to make it easier. We felt that it made more sense that way. And then the partnership with Palm Beach County to upgrade the West Jupiter Community Center. We're removing the word expansion and then the second sentence. And move on.
Just on that one, to the degree that, some of us have heard from the public, I just want to make it clear that, and I know that the Vice Mayor has been somewhat championing this one for the council, but not that we're all not interested in this, but the recreation master plan, so the second item covers all aging parks.
Correct.
No, but I just want to make sure for the record the public knows that, because in another area we talk about what I would call the neighborhood parks, which ones we're doing, but the recreation master plan is not going to forget any of the aging parks, like Lighthouse, for example. I think every one of us have noticed, if you've ever gone to Lighthouse Park, it's in need for a long time of an uplift. That's in there.
I could also add with West Jupiter Community Center, that is a priority of ours to try to partner where we can with others' facilities to see where there's shared interest. The county did come up with a master plan for recreation. They presented this at a BCC meeting in December and presented on it. So they had a number of meetings, just like we are, feeding into their recreation master planning effort. They did have a meeting at West Jupiter Community Center. So the county knows what its interests are from those meetings in that property. And so to the extent that we are, reviewing their master plan, having discussions with them and finding where the alignment is, that's kind of where discussions move forward. So I think a lot of this just reflects the fact that we now understand what the county is looking to do with their property, right, in our town. And so to the extent that we can partner or provide, whatever we can provide to help benefit a greater number of people, that's in everyone's interest. So.
Okay, moving on to the next strategic initiative, which was Pyatt Place. So the two items from 2024 were complete. So the next step would be to develop and approve that site plan for Riverwalk Loop, kayak launch, and park amenities. And then moving on to the western portion of Indiantown Road. So there's a couple of things here that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. So the actual strategic initiative definition is being proposed to change to be for more clarity. The previous strategic initiative was strictly for the West Indiantown Road I-95. So this initiative is proposing a more clarity to encompass everything that's being added on. So the 3 stars at the bottom are the new strategic action items that are being proposed, and then the top 3 were just language modifications to just further define each of these projects that were also just previously discussed in our traffic mitigation report. Mayor, would you like to add anything to this one?
Well, yeah, I think it was a natural we get to the point now we have even more clarity. I use as an example, well, first of all, it's interesting because this brings back years ago when we did a corridor master plan. Staff has never forgotten about the various solutions that were identified back then. Of course, I haven't because I was involved. But it's really starting to come to fruition, and it has been. So just walking down, just to point out, is that we as a council, and we changed our comprehensive plan, started to adopt to allow the road to go from 6 lanes with some occasional turn lanes to 6 lanes plus a through turn lane. So what's being done now, which wouldn't have been done if the town didn't step up and say, hey, FDOT, can you add it to your project, is you see from I-95 to Central Boulevard, eastbound is being done. Westbound, it comes from the Jupiter West Plaza west. So when those that got the legislative, earmark, it was for a continuation of that. So then, I believe it was staff, but I'm not completely sure, but working with FDOT, after the $2.5 million was funding we got, FDOT worked with staff and looked at what can we do easily, meaning they looked at, do we have right-of-way? And a decision was made without any of our involvement, but it is logical. Let's proceed, something we can do quick. So that one, the continuation of the eastbound will go to Central Boulevard to the Chasewood Plaza. So now it'll be, 3 lanes eastbound plus a through turn lane, which increases intersection, capability. On the westbound, the mobile gas station at Central Boulevard has some right-of-way, there's some right-of-way issues. So again, I had gotten with staff to get an update about this. This is how I can speak to it and why it was written up, is so they're going west of the mobile gas station, and from there, westbound goes to the Jupiter West Plaza. That's why I was commenting in the engineering report. So if you look here, we brought clarity to it. And this wasn't the mayor come up with this. It was asking staff, what did you and FDOT agree to do with that earmarked funds? So that's why you can read there. Now we all know, it's all transparent here, that it says, so what staff will be doing, monitoring the design progress of Indian Town Road, we just call it Phase 2, eastbound from Central to Chasewood, and then westbound from west of the mobile gas station to the eastern end of the Phase 1 work. People are frustrated whether they're coming into town eastbound or going out of town westbound. So now we can see the migration of, the road improvement, both westbound and eastbound, and that's what staff was talking about, is the design project. Now, it is likely that that mobile gas station right away would probably be addressed. I'm just speculating, but I think it's logical when they do an intersection modification that has been on the table, and that is that's the fifth one down, or we'll monitor the progress of the PD&E phase of the intersection. So then, I know it's complicated, but if you really follow these things, one adds to the next. So now you can see the logical phasing of how this can come to fruition, if you will. That's why the one I had carrying forth here is, continue to pursue FDOT funding for Indian Town. Well, that's why this language isn't sufficient. It's just funding to study. FDOT did a study, it's 150 pages. They concluded the improvement that could be done. And, whatever we ask for, typically takes 5 years to get. So as an example, on the intersection, and this is frustrating, but so you get the funding. Well, first of all, when the funding we originally had it was in 29, and we've been working, staff, myself, as a TPA rep, to move it up. It's finally in 26. But when it happens in 26 and they come back and they have a solution, the next 5 years is already booked up on funding. So you really have to advocate, let's move forth. You could work out the details of the scope, in design. So I've been advocating with FDOT, don't want to get into it here, but I'm just kind of pointing it out here. That would then take us between Phase 2 being done, the intersection, and it would take us really to Center Street, Maplewood. And then staff identified here, there was and I appreciate them coming up with this, we had looked at years back a road connection from Maplewood to Center Street, really where you could go from Walmart to Home Depot without ever getting on Indiantown. That's listed in here. Just, hey, let's look at it, come back, see what it would cost, the logistics, and that's the only other solution that could be done for that segment of road.
Like a shared access?
What's that?
Shared access through
Yeah, we
properties?
already had access through, on the west side of the canal, when that project was approved, that they know that we had a cross-access agreement. Of course, you'd have to put a small bridge across,
Right.
you know, but again, staff's going to come back to us. This meeting isn't about, it's just so much there. I just wanted to kind of describe the pieces, but they all are individual pieces that really would be individual projects. But we need to try to get funding and then move ahead with them. So, you know, it's evident we've been working for quite some time to try to, again, it's an FDOT road, but we're being proactive, stepping up, offering money if we need. The funding we got last year, the $2.5 million was funded, assuming it might have been a $5 million project, and we might have to put money in. So FDOT is thinking, but they still could come back, that because they're not having to require right-of-way, they could probably fund that. We may not have to contribute anything. But again, those conversations are happening. So anyway, and then staff had pursued a grant for adaptive traffic signal control technology along the Indiantown Road corridor. The grant was funded, as I understand, and but the county wouldn't agree to proceed with it, as I understand. And again, I got this from staff. So all their good work. I've since followed up somewhat. We're going to follow up together because now the county is proceeding with doing this on 2 pilot locations in the county. So sometimes everything is timing. So I believe we now can reactivate that and make it happen as maybe the 3rd project. We'll work with the county on that, but kind of excited about that one being in our plan. I want to just share that. For staff's benefit, I asked the TPA's executive director on the status of the grant. I know that I think Scott Reynolds was chasing it down too, but I talked to her about that, trying to reactivate that one, and we would coordinate with the county to see if we can't drive that one to happen, because that, I don't know what it would take to make that happen, but it'd be a lot quicker in a first step, you know, than a roadway improvement project. You'd probably be changing out the technology along the road,
Right.
much like they did with the detour route. And then right now, I mean, the county controls that road, but they're limited by the technology. But again, you know, CJ is our expert on this. I'm just up here representing these items because I work with staff to make sure that we had the totality of this in here, so all of us have clarity of, you know, what hope is on the horizon.
That technology, is that humanized, looking at current situations and tweaking the signals like they did the detour at the bridge?
It would be everything, all of the above, right, as I
Okay.
understand it, yeah.
Or is it an AI kind of thing, or?
I don't, you know, I don't, we'll learn about it, but I think it is all of the above.
Right, okay.
I mean, they have it now, but it's the next, you know, this is, the latest technology would be implemented there.
Because the detour at the bridge worked very well. I know there were
Oh,
snags,
yeah.
but it worked, I think, far better than anybody expected.
Yep.
You know.
So I don't know what kind of grant we got, but, you know, on behalf of the council, and we'd have to come back to ask for funding, but I wouldn't imagine without even asking, anybody would hesitate on co-funding something here to move this forward. So I'm assuming that, but we'll come back when we get any specifics. The first step is to get the county to agree to it and try to get it on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for giving me that time, but that's a complicated one. And like I say, make sure you change the wording on that one item.
Yes, I have a note for that. Okay. If everyone is good with that one, I'll move on to the next initiative, which is high-speed rail. So this talks about our quiet zone. So the first initiative is just changed, modified a little bit to ensure the timely completion of the safety fencing sections, which are included in the scope of work. And then the new added initiative or action item is to secure the quiet zone designation. We flip to the next page. We'll start off with
By the way, can I just add, it's my understanding that, well, certainly both of these will happen in 25. Just a reminder, Brightline did commit to do the fencing. I stay in contact with them. Part of it was going to be funded by a federal grant, which they received. So we're hoping to hear early this year both the quiet zone improvements plus the safety fencing, which really is important for those members that cross the tracks where they shouldn't, but to change their behaviors. But we're kind of optimistic something can finally happen on those two.
In regards to the quiet zones, the town did everything required for the safety aspects, but I guess now we're waiting for Brightline to do their portion. Correct?
Yeah. Well, my take on that, appreciate your kind of asking about that. Everybody did their portion, and what changed here is that the rules changed because there was a list. Brightline did theirs, we did ours, the county did theirs, and then FRA came out and found additional items. And while that may be discouraging to some, they were looking at stuff that they should have always looked at. Things were not being maintained. Signage was, you couldn't read it anymore. It was blocked by vegetation, a whole host of stuff. So I kind of liked it more to maintenance, but that was just kind of my simplistic. But then it wasn't just in Jupiter, it was up and down the corridor.
Yeah.
I think FRA took a much closer look from the safety aspects with all the significant events that have happened. Again, Brightline and our staff is on this, but they had to get a contractor to do a whole host, not just Jupiter's. They had to work through FEC, which is hell to work through for anybody. And anyway, supposedly they're hiring a contractor this month, and they've committed to do Jupiter first. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
so
I've heard that.
That's my understanding, Mayor.
yeah, so I mean, I just want to, I'm kind of speaking, I stay close to this, but staff is on it, and I'm on it separately to see if we're getting the same answer.
Okay, great. So the athletic facility usage strategic initiative, the first action item, we just added the word fee parameters, and then the other two would come off. The municipal complex strategic initiative have a few added modifications. So the second action item is to just reflect the construction of the town council memorial location within the town green, which is what we brought to you last council meeting. And then to complete the phase 1 construction of the law enforcement memorial site by May of this year, and then phase 2 will be completed by May of next year. The next strategic initiative is actually a combination of two. So it was proposed to combine Protect Local Seagrass and the Loxahatchee River, those two strategic initiatives, as one, and then just reflect a modified action item for that first one to include the living shoreline projects and the seagrass restoration that's happening. And the last item on this page is the anchored vessels strategic initiative. It is being proposed to remove that bottom initiative and combined it, or action item, I'm sorry, to the top, to annually present an update to Town Council on the removal efforts and potential legislative opportunities. Currently, we are doing a quarterly report. The Jupiter Police Department does their report, so we would just move it to annually and present it sort of like what we do for our traffic annual report. The next strategic initiative is the US 1 bridge, so just modified to remove the and incentive and then the parentheses and just add contractor scope of work. We completed the event that was under the bridge to celebrate. That was to affect the businesses and things, the event for that. And then South Island Way, we're adding just an additional sentence, collaborate with owners of the required right-of-way to secure the necessary right-of-way. The blue, again, just highlights for Protect Local Seagrass that we combined it with the Loxahatchee River Strategic Initiative. And then on the Comprehensive Plan Review Strategic Initiative action item, just added some language to call out transportation and take appropriate steps for those sections that staff is currently working on. Any questions on this slide? Comments? Great. Moving on to public safety training facility. So this strategic initiative action item, that top one, a couple modifications, also to include JFRD, and then also to clarify that we would be bringing all of our analysis and data back to Town Council via a roundtable discussion. We also updated the second action item. Following the roundtable discussion, we'll develop a long-term training facility strategy. And then the next strategic initiative, areas of local importance, marking that first item complete, and then adding to define and approve the Center Street alternate A1A redevelopment overlay area. The arts strategic initiative, so we've completed the first action item, actually approved this evening, and then so the next stage would be to plan and develop the actual event, the Harbor Fest event, in collaboration with the Palm Beach North Chamber. This last strategic initiative on this page, the sustainability plan. So it's being proposed to complete that first action item. We have the centralized data. However, we are going to present the results of the vulnerability study that's currently underway with our utilities department. So we'll present that to Town Council via a roundtable discussion. Any questions on or modifications, comments? All right, the last slide. So there are two brand new strategic initiatives and action items that are being proposed. The first one is about the A1A Beach Road roundabout. So it's being proposed to engage with our art committee to propose and develop a plan for a decorative or aesthetic element for that roundabout at the A1A Beach Road. And then the second new action item strategic initiative is historic preservation, continuing efforts to collaboratively work with Sunny Sands property owners to respect and preserve the unique archaeological and historic nature of the portions of the site. Is there any discussion on either of those items?
The one thing I'd like to be considered for the art in the roundabout is that it in no way obstructs safety or line of sights or any issues like that, so keep that paramount. But it is a great location for an art piece, so let's just try to make sure what we're doing is not unsafe.
I think that's why we have Chief Barbera doing it, to make sure.
I was wondering at first why he was the action. Now it makes sense. So perfect.
Mayor, I think he's going to evaluate it. Let's not have him do the artwork. It's outside his scope.
No, understand. No, he's going to make sure it's safe.
That was something that I had asked to add. Just I'd driven down there recently, and it's nice and new and everything like that, but it's just a plot of green grass. And I just figured, want to have something we can get with the art committee to add an aesthetic element to the center, and potentially I even I'll propose to the art committee maybe do some sort of contest community-wide, and the community can vote on what could be added to that. So I just figured it'd be a nice element to that area. So.
Good idea.
It is a good
Let's
idea.
make it safe.
The finished result looks great, and it really sort of, it's not as urban looking as a four-way stop. It's more, I don't know, aesthetically pleasing, but it could use something. It's kind of missing something, I think. So I think it's a good idea.
I agree. We've gotten a lot of compliments on that road, just the beauty of the area and the easy flow. So it has been a nice addition. I think it'll be beautiful in that area. It's good.
Any other comments on the timeline? Great.
It's an incredible amount of changes, so thank you for all the work everybody did to collectively bring, an update on that.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 10 items I'd like to add to the plan.
Too late.
Quick
Well.
during the meeting.
Okay,
We got a plate full.
Yeah. So the next steps, I'll take the feedback received tonight and then move forward. I'll place the updated version, the plan, on the February 4th agenda for adoption. And then everything will be posted to the town's website. We'll update our strategic plan at a glance document. And we also have that great video that talks high level of our strategic plan.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to reports, Town Attorney,
Nothing from me or Tom tonight.
Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. Reminder that the Jupiter Jubilee 100th anniversary, February 8th from 11 to 4 on site here. Staff is working very diligently on that. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on our efforts for the traffic signal at Tony Penna and Central Boulevard. I've been coordinating with the town attorney's office to work with the county to get this project to stand on its own legs. There's been some interest on the part of the county to commingle that with other initiatives, and given the nature of that project and the safety involved in that, we're working to have that separated out. And so hopefully we will be successful on that, and I'll keep you posted on that. The other piece also, as you know, we've been getting a lot of calls on the Riverside Drive alternate A1A intersection there, and been working closely with our traffic engineer and the engineering department, and he's been coordinating with the county, FDOT, and others to look at potential alternatives, potential solutions for the traffic concerns that we're getting at that intersection. And the one thing I do know that they did this week, and we'll see if it works, that our traffic engineer was CJ was able to get the timing for the light for the red light right turn extended, so that light will stay green for the right turn longer, and we'll see to what extent that has any impact there. And so kudos to them for that as well. And then just to report back to you on the Mary Hinton Memorial, you all gave us the instructions to go and meet with the family. Roger, I want to thank Roger Held. He's here, met with the members of the Hinton family. The family has selected the semicircle design, and they appreciated the natural beauty of the memorial being part of the new town green. So we'll be moving forward with that. Also, the Abacoa Community Park tennis courts, the renovations of the tennis courts at Abacoa Community Park, which was an FY24 CIP project, were completed last week. And we already have had residents reach out with compliments on the new courts. And I want to thank our Parks and Recreation staff for completing this project so expeditiously. I'll tell you, the Parks and Rec people have a lot going on every single day, and so kudos to them, and I appreciate all of their hard work. And so on the centennial celebration, as you can see on our screens in front of you, and you can also see it on the large screen up there, our calendar is full with events for the centennial celebration. I had already mentioned the Jubilee on the 8th. Staff has worked with Roger Dean Stadium for a special celebration the first weekend of March, which is March 1 and 2, March 1st and 2nd. The event will offer specially priced tickets to Jupiter residents and town staff both games that weekend. The stadium and our staff are planning some special events and giveaways throughout that weekend, and you will see this event being promoted more in the coming weeks. And so a lot happening, pretty exciting time. It's hard to believe we've been planning for over a year and a half for the Jupiter Jubilee, the 100th anniversary, and we're just weeks away now, and time is just flying by. And feel good about the plan, and I've had an opportunity to share with many of you, not all of you yet, the security plans relating to making sure everybody has a great time and is safe during the event. So that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor May.
I just have one thing. It's kind of exciting thing, actually. I had met with the owner of the Flagler Wharf property that we had just approved development on for the cafe and stuff over off alternate A1A, and it seems to be that there's an interest from the owner to potentially sell that property to the town for green space preservation. From what I understand, it does meet 2, possibly 3 of our criteria for green space utilizing the green space pond. So if anybody is open to it, I'd like to see if we can direct staff to potentially approach the owner for purchasing that property for green space preservation. It checks off traffic mitigation, it's waterfront, and potentially a historic element to it as well. So something that I thought was an interesting thing that we could approach and utilize some of our green space bond money to purchase to allocate for the town. So if anybody else is interested in pursuing that and directing staff to do so,
Well, I'll go first, but I don't want to influence anybody's feedback on this one, but it's a bit surprising to me to the degree that they came in and got something that they claimed to be excited about in developing. I saw they then were marketing that, as always happens, as a project with development approval. So I'd be surprised if it's available at a reasonable cost for acquisition, but nonetheless, at this point in time, I'll try to keep an open minded about that opportunity, but at this point in time, I put a much higher priority on funding for SUNY Sands, but that has to work itself out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that, and the one perk about SUNY Sands funding is utilizing the CRA funding for that. So this particular piece of parcel we could only utilize green space bond money for, but as far as SUNY Sands go, depending on how we can fund it, I looked at that parcel as utilizing CRA funding for that, but I don't know what the time frame is for that to work itself out. So I figured if we had this opportunity in front of us in the short term, maybe it's something we could pursue and at least approach the owner and see what or if we can work anything out with them.
I agree with the mayor that I think we should prioritize SUNY Sands, but I'm absolutely encouraged by any type of green space acquisition. I share the mayor's concern that they might be asking a lot for what we have to put towards it because property value is so high. Not that they were going to try to do a quick take on us, it's just property value is so high now. So we need to see what they're coming in at on a cost, but I'd be willing to entertain looking at what they're talking about price-wise. But I still think we should prioritize SUNY Sands at this point. I think the citizens want SUNY Sand project to be prioritized.
I agree with the last 2 comments. I totally prioritize SUNY Sands. It's the jewel of the CRA, and if we can ever acquire that property, it'd be just
probably one of the, I mean, towns don't get to acquire properties on a waterfront like that these days. So everything on the waterfront that's town-owned is acquired 50, 100 years ago. So that's, to me, that's the holy grail. But I would entertain what kind of number they'd want to throw at us, just for, don't want to, overlook an opportunity. So
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to have the consensus to direct staff to approach the property owner to engage and see if anything can be worked out.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it is a waterfront piece of property. So
Yeah.
I don't want to give staff a missed signal here, though, because I think I'm hearing some are a little bit skeptical that it's even something that from the price, we could even decide to pursue.
I doubt we could afford both, but I would entertain a number, but I don't want anybody to put too much work into it. I mean,
Which means before you get to appraisals or whatever, let the property owner come forth and share with staff what
right.
they're willing to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on the property owner. It's not just the location of the property that concerns me with the price, but also property is valued at its current zoning. So the zoning of commercial, a commercial zoning waterfront property is wildly expensive. We need to focus our funds on Sunny Sands preservation. We've heard that a number of times, and we've heard testimony on that. So that would be my focus. But again, if the property owner wants to approach, that's something else. But it is, it will be very expensive given the zoning and the location.
And
Probably rightfully so. It's
Right.
not that they're trying
Right.
to do a fast thing. It's just
Right.
waterfront commercial property.
And what we approved a while back was probably, definitely was the least impactful situation that could happen on that property, being a commercial and waterfront for traffic. And I mean, what was approved there, there's a little less they can do with what's undeveloped, going to be undeveloped on the property. So I mean, that was a real win for the town, and they were very happy. That was a great negotiation. That was
absolutely,
one of the better ones since.
Yeah, I'm fine with the project that we approved. Obviously,
Yeah.
but
No, I know. I'm just saying. It's just like this is kind of thrown at me. I'm trying to weigh it all out. So
yeah.
But see what he has to say. I guess.
So, Mayor, if I could, I'm not really clear on what the expectation is for staff. Do you want us to reach out to the property owner? Do you want it to just be receptive if they reach out
I would
to us?
suggest if Councilor May has had conversations with the property owner, then he asked the property owner to advise our town manager what he wants to sell the property for. Because I don't want to get into doing appraisals and whatever, because we wouldn't want to pay what the appraised value is.
Is that, Councilor May, is that how you want?
Yeah, I'll
to
reach back out to the property owner and talk to him.
Okay, and I'll be available
Sounds good.
if he reaches out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Just quickly, I had a meeting this morning with the Smart and Connected Task Force. It is a part of the Chamber of Commerce. There are a number of municipalities that participate. The county participates. They've identified 2 items within their strategic area to focus on over the past year. Those 2 areas of focus are transportation and transportation planning for each of the municipalities in the county, feeding in, obviously, into the county project that's moving forward. The second item is assisting small business specifically, and that was an item that I had kind of advocated for as a part of that committee. So as part of that, each of the municipalities provided information for an online resource for small businesses. It provides each of our tax information, if we have a liaison for business, as we do in Roger Held, who their counterpart would be in North Palm Beach or throughout the region. So it is just helpful as kind of a one-stop shop for our region, for those looking to start a small business or to grow a small business. But I was encouraged and excited to share that, there is conversation now with a small business development center. So they are funded by the Small Business Administration. I used to work for them. I used to help promote a lot of their classes. So I was excited to hear about this and revisit it. But they are based in FAU in Boca. They are planning to open potentially a satellite office in the northern part of the county to help small businesses. It's a walk-in with contracting, with exporting, anything. They have a lot of experience with it on hand. So it is just a wonderful new resource potentially for the county, and I'm really encouraged with the Chamber's focus on small business. It's been great going to ribbon cuttings for a lot of small businesses around the town. We hear a lot of small problems and large. It could be as big as, some of the things SBDC could help with. It could be as small as, I had a question about our utility, reaching out to the business to kind of resolve something on that end. So it's great that we're in contact with them. It's great that Roger's reaching out, because there are just a lot of little things that come up where if we can smooth them out or give them a resource, it kind of keeps things moving. So that's just an update from that part of the world, and thought I would share.
Councilor?
Just real quick, after our last, when we talked about the memorial for former Mayor Hinton, I reached out to her daughter, Kari, and I think we all like the standalone memorial outside here on the green. She agreed, and she was very happy that we weren't going to leave it up to the family to decide, how to, what style to do. So, but she was very happy with everything. So, and she was appreciative. So that was it.
Councilor Four?
Two things. Michael Cassatley sits on our Planning and Zoning Board, and he's also a volunteer at the Jupiter Lighthouse. And he said they just were able to acquire an AED for the top of the lighthouse, and was asking for me to help champion the town acquiring AED for our facility at the bottom of the lighthouse. It makes sense to have one at the top, but as a student of mountaineering, the hardest part often is getting down. So, Cameron, you can probably speak to this too. There's probably a high percentage chance of somebody having a heart attack at the bottom of the stairs as well. Obviously, at the top, it's going to be needed. If somebody gets up there and they have a heart attack, they need help immediately. But I think it's possibly equally important to have one at the bottom as well. So if anybody here would be interested in seconding that or championing that along with me, I would appreciate it. Sure. All right. I mean, that makes sense to everybody to have an AED there. So can we instruct town manager to start to acquire that for that facility?
Yeah, we
coordinated with the one up top.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that.
Thank you very much. The second item is, Mr. Mallory, you pointed out for you, the biggest issue in the town is traffic. For me, the top three items are traffic. Traffic, traffic, traffic. Traffic is just unbelievably bad here. And I hope you sat and watched and listened to our mayor during this last session. He is incredibly well informed, very proactive. He's got connections everywhere. He knows the statistics. He knows the questions to ask. He's not a passive player in this. We're very lucky. And I think somebody that's looking 2 or 3 years down the line at how we can fix this traffic problem is exactly what we need right now. It's not an easy solution. There was no way we were going to boycott or somehow convince FDOT not to do that intersection out there. So some people don't fully understand the process that goes through or who owns these various roadways. The mayor does, and he's doing exactly what needs to be done to try to bring this traffic problem under control. So I just want to say thank you for that, and we're lucky. I just wanted to point that out to you because I knew that was a concern of yours, and I think that's a reflection of most of our citizens. Everybody I talk to says traffic, especially now. So thank you for your comments.
I think we should add an exclamation point now going forward every time. I like that.
Traffic!
But I also, just speaking to that, because I did talk about the ownership, and then Thomas came up with the engineering website, department website, having that map. That is the best map. I did look at all the maps. That is a great map. But if the town could share on its Facebook page just kind of a post about road ownership and what the different options are, is kind of interesting, I think. It's in the comprehensive plan as well, but I think it might be better and more visual on the engineering section. So cheers to the engineering department for its simple, clean map.
Also, thank you, Thomas, for the presentation you gave earlier. Thank you very much. Very well informed, very informative. Thank you.
And I just wanted to kind of add on to your last comment. So the most previous angst of the 95 eastbound lane onto Indiantown Road, once they opened up the 3 lanes, that is vastly improved. Am I correct? Every time I go through it at rush hour, I get right on, and I don't see the backup going out into the farms. And that's just my anecdotal evidence. But have you had any complaints or?
I haven't experienced it at work lately, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I haven't had any comments from people
Okay.
still
So
complaining about it.
looked
So I
there
think it's
was
flowing
a
better.
Little glitch there, and then they fixed it,
Yeah.
but it caused a lot of anxiety for all of us.
Well,
sitting in
anecdotally,
traffic in here. So
anecdotally, it appears that there is a little bit more traffic backing up onto I-95 exit. You can see where there used to be never any traffic backing up.
Okay.
But it moves fairly quickly.
does it? Yeah. Okay.
It's getting through fairly quickly. It doesn't back. The worst I've seen it is about halfway backed up to the interstate. But that's a problem that never existed, so we're doing a little trade-off. We're getting quicker flow heading eastbound, which is
Right.
great.
But
And a little sacrifice for getting off the
But I
interstate.
notice if I'm passing through at that time, if I'm heading east, I always look up at the queue going back up to 95.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I get the green, that's completely cleared out, and cars are just starting to trickle back down.
Yeah.
So
It's not too
I
long
make
wait.
myself. I go 10 minutes out of my way when I'm around to go through that to see what's
I
going on.
am
It
as
seems
well.
to me like it's works.
Is that a morbid curiosity, or are we just doing due diligence?
I'm just a
for our
sucker for
citizens?
abuse. That's all. That's why I sit here. So.
Just some follow-up. First of all, thank you for the kind words, Councilor Four. Just on that interchange, what the town did was add on improvements on Indian Town Road. Because people may not realize, but we had the only rural interchange design from here to the beginning of 95 at the south end. Every other one has a light getting off. So, the FDOT was determined, and they're responsible for mainline traffic, quite frankly. They care about that more than anything else. So there's no way they would allow it to back up and cause more problems on the main line, because that is their top. Truth be known, the nuances of constructing that interchange mod caused them to have to actually reduce the capacity of that intersection. Our staff, CJ, had actually pointed it out. So for 1 week, pardon me for saying it this way, it was hell.
It was.
Because it went from what was 3 lanes to 2 lanes. So they cut capacity for a week. And then they described, if you remember, we had them come in here. They described it, the only way they could finish that, because of the different, you were engaging in conversation with them, with the difference in elevation of the roadway. They had to go through that 1 week period to cut the elevation so they could finish it off.
And there's a rubbernecking effect.
Right.
Everybody has to look at it.
Yep.
So that'll go away soon. I
Right.
hope.
Any event, actually, one item I had, and it's interesting on the back of this whole conversation, I wanted to go back to an item that the town manager brought up to make sure that we're supporting him in that effort. Tonopena Drive, Central Boulevard signalization. He said something about, used words like he wanted to make sure that it can stand on its own feet. Well, it does. It was justified as an intersection improvement, and it's time to signalize it, and there's no debate about that. The debate is just, I want to make sure everybody understands, and I asked the town manager to weigh in on this, because I just heard this. I didn't hear it, but I've known about it for a bit. Is the county's trying to change the rules to where, to get the signal, they want to make sure that we're agreeing to do some maintenance on a county road that we've never had. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, so you talk about unfunded mandates. Here comes one here. We want the signal. Wait a second. And I just want to make sure we all appreciate what he was asking from us. So I had conversation with him about it, and those are 2 separate things. And then, by the way, he reaches out to other municipalities. The Gardens doesn't do what they're asking us to do, right? So, we have to be careful here. We, as a local government, we always have to push back. It's disappointing to me that the county is trying to, it happens all the time from the state legislature, we're in the governor, but now when the county is given up, so you look at a map, county road, right? That means it's their road. They want us to now do some work on it, and they're kind of holding this hostage. So, quite frankly, I just want to make sure my colleagues agree that on behalf of this council, in support of what the town manager was saying, if need be, is, I'll go through, the commission route. I just want to make sure everybody else, I'll go through Commission, Mayor Marino, and as he would be going with, the county administrator. But what their staff is just trying to do is separate those two issues. Don't hold hostage the signalization that's needed for public safety. And the public is getting tired of, hey, when's it going to happen? Well, it's not for lack of effort on the part of town staff. It's the fact that now, in order to get it, they're asking us, and so staff is doing the right thing, town manager's doing the right thing. Now, we're not going to just agree to take on maintenance of their road.
It's money.
It is money, right? So thank you, Mr. Kitsero, and hopefully you hear we'll step in as need be if you're not able to get it resolved.
What can we do to help push that along?
Well, again, I wanted to bring it to your attention this evening. I'm working with the town attorney now, and we are. He's working with the county attorney's office to push this ahead so we can separate the two. The only other thing I can say, if you wanted to add onto it, is that certainly your counterparts at your elected official levels might be able to make a difference there. And so, but this is really important. And and as I said to the mayor, this light, that whole intersection, I'm not only looking at this in the town manager seat. I had to look at this for years as the police chief, and it's a dangerous place over there.
It's been years.
It's been years, and so we have got to get this done before there's a catastrophic event. And so we've been working diligently to separate these two items. And kudos to the town engineer, Thomas Fernandez. He's been in the middle of this fight for a little bit now. So I want to bring it to your attention. Certainly any conversations you have publicly about it would be helpful, and we're going to continue to work through the town attorney's office and work through our engineering department to iron this out.
It is unprecedented, to my knowledge, in the town to have to, in order to get a signal that's justified by county standards, on a county road, by the way, we have to take over some maintenance responsibilities that are totally unrelated to the intersection. So the staff is doing the right thing, and just bringing it to our attention. We need to. Well, we're going to separate them. Then we're going to get into debate about what's the logic. Who else is paying for this, right? That'll come up, and we need to weigh in as elected officials because it's going to hit our budgets.
Yeah, they know we need it, so it's almost like they're holding it over our head. They know we need it, so they think we're going to just jump in there with the funds.
That's all I had. Thank you. With that, the time is now 9:01, and I'll adjourn the meeting.
They know we